Hello and welcome to the Post-Up Show. I'm Cyrus Rogers and I'm joined by Lockdown K himself, Kaunda. Chama, Kaunda, you know we got to do this, man.
Yeah, man, it's another one of these home editions. I'm loving them. How you doing, Si?
Yeah, not too bad. Just don't scream into the mic. That's the only prerequisite. Otherwise, we should be good to go.
I'm excited. Wouldn't you be screaming into the mic if it was the 28th of July and you literally had 3 days until the return of the league?
See, you're counting down. People are going to be there thinking, man, this league thing, why is it so important? The NBA is back. We've been waiting for this for a long time. But man, the scrimmages have been very, very entertaining. It's been great to see. I think one of the things for me is being able to see the guys playing, but also the setup that they have. It actually looks pretty slick. I must say, I've enjoyed seeing what they've done with the courts and the fact that, you're not worrying about the ball bouncing around to another court, that sort of thing. It's been pretty good.
And the way they represent the home court is very nice as well, because you can tell when it's a Lakers home court or it's a Magic home court or, it's a 76ers home court. And Cyrus, I think one of the things that you and I spoke of off camera, which I've seen, and I argued with you, so I must eat humble pie.
Yeah.
That there would be a lot of missed shots and there would be some rusty forms.
Oh, the rest.
Okay. I see this is what Cyrus was talking about. I mean, the shots are not falling as smoothly as they were just before, the COVID pandemic hit and things had to be shut down. But look, I guess that's why they play scrimmage games, right? Just to shake off that rust and get back into gear.
And this is what you want to do, is that you want to get the guys back to top form, make sure that they're doing their thing, because the fans want to see what happens. They want to see who might become the NBA champion. So let's go into today's debate. And really, we're just talking about the 10 teams we're looking forward to seeing in the resumption of the NBA season, and potentially who in this 10 might go on to become the champions. I don't think all 10 in our lists will be champions, but I think that they'll definitely put a good showing in. So do you want to do it like a back and forth? Should I tell you one of my teams, and then you tell me one of yours, or we can just compare that way? What do you think?
Okay, let's go. Like you pick a team, I pick a team, and if I don't like your team, I'll let you know.
Well, you will always let me know. I know you. So I think, but the one team we'll start off with is probably one that we both agree on, and that's the LA Lakers. I think the Lakers are going to be one of the teams to watch as the season resumes, because I think they've got a very good chance of becoming the champions, but you never know.
No, Cyrus, definitely you never know, but I like what they've done at the Lakers. King James and squad are in the house. I think even J.R. Smith's arrival, hasn't been as terrible as most people thought. Many a critic were going back to that game where he sort of lost direction and lost track of time, and they're like, oh,
the infamous
God, do you want problems again? And then we had Dion Waiters, who had sort of started becoming lukewarm at the Heat, but I think he's arrived at the Lakers with a bit of energy, and I like what he brings, to the court. Then you got the usual suspects. You got LeBron and James. You got Anthony Davis. You got
Kyle Kuzma.
They're all showing up, I mean, let's not forget Dwight Howard, the rebirth of Dwight Howard. JaVale McGee's looking good. So I think they've got a pretty impressive squad. The bench is not too shallow. It's quite deep.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you. I cannot not agree with you on that one.
I like the double negative there. It's like a double pump. But I think the thing is, the Lakers they've got excellent quality in terms of the playing staff. LeBron James is just obviously one of the greatest to have ever played the game. And then the depth of their bench is really going to be the critical thing. I think that when you start looking at some of the contenders around them, you have to start wondering, how do they stack up in terms of starting fives? And that's where things might become difficult. But as soon as the players start to rotate, and then you're really digging deep into the bench, the Lakers bench will show their worth. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to be a really, really important player for the Lakers. Dion Waiters has a chance to do something special. And I think that they've tried it with different players in the past, but they've got good amount of experience in that team. So you shouldn't have too many people who don't know what they're supposed to do in big game situations. And that's why I think the Lakers will be a definite one to watch. So that, I guess we're agreement in the first team, right?
Absolutely, and staying in Las Vegas, in Los Angeles. Sorry, Cyrus. I was watching the Las Vegas Aces. So
You know they're good.
it's still in my head, but staying in LA, the LA Clippers. Despite having a couple of players that had to go out of the bubble for personal reasons, but they're back. The likes of Montrezl Harrell. I mean, his quarantine is almost finished. Pat Bev, his quarantine is almost finished. He's almost back and ready to go. Obviously,
Lou Williams.
We had the crazy news of Lou Williams, who went out for some chicken wings, and he's gonna miss
at
2 games
at a gentleman's club.
Yeah,
Oh,
know,
gosh.
Cyrus, where you get your chicken wings is your business. I mean, nobody has to tell you that you have to go to some establishment.
Yeah, this is the list of chicken wing places you can go to. Everywhere else is out of bounds. But this is coronavirus time, so we can't just be going to any old KFC, and other place where the wings might not be as sanitary as we'd like. But
hey,
they're gonna miss him.
But look, I think they're gonna miss him. I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, he's the reigning sixth man of the year, and he's a finisher. I mean, can you imagine? At any point, he can be the third ball handler, and I'm talking Kawhi first, Paul George second, then him third. But still, they can trust him to make that final play, whether he scores the basket or whether he creates a play for another one of the players. They would trust that ball in Lou Williams' hands. So I think it was pretty careless of him to do what he did. And I know, Cyrus, look, you and I are also living in some sort of bubble, right?
Yeah.
And like, to tell you the truth, you miss the outside world sometimes. You miss the interaction. Like you and I, one thing we're missing is basketball, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine maybe for Lou Williams, those wings are like the way you and I miss basketball. He misses those wings, and maybe that's why he went out looking for the wings. But still, you don't put your team, which is a title contender,
exactly, on the back foot,
behind your need to go out there and look at some people who know how to dance.
I mean, and then eat wings. And
yes,
I think that's the thing
process.
for me, is that he basically put his personal interests ahead of the team interests here. Look, he was out there for family reasons. We don't know, he said personal reasons, and we don't have to go into what those might be. But the whole thing is the activities that happen when he's away, when he's outside of the bubble, outside of campus. And they're still going through the testing process. No one knows if he's even picked up the coronavirus as well. So they're still going through all of those protocols.
And you know what's disappointing, just to close it off, I know we don't want to keep banging on the Lou Williams drum, is he wasn't actually planning to disclose that he did go to that establishment. Somebody actually outed him by posting a picture of him at the establishment. And I saw a nice meme, but I'm going to put the tasteful version. You can make your own mind up as what the meme really said. It said, "Temptation before titles." And the word wasn't temptation. You can look for the meme online.
I must say, temptation before titles is a great substitute. But I think this is the whole thing. And the Clippers are still a team to watch with Kawhi, with Paul George. They really are, very strong in terms of the starting five. Patrick Beverly. But
they've got Montrezl Harrell.
But even Montrezl hasn't necessarily, he's not been available and stuff. So, they've been playing a Vika Zubac, former Laker.
Vika Zubac is there.
So it's just that they're going to miss guys like Landry Shamet, who isn't available at the moment. So they're there or thereabouts.
Word around the campfire is he's also on his way back. So
yeah.
So he won't be gone for too long. I think he might also miss the first two and the opener against the Lakers.
Yeah.
But he should be back shortly after
and
that.
that's it. That Lakers game is going to be critical. So do you really want to miss most of those guys? And I think this is where the Lakers are probably going to make hay while the sun shines. So let's move right along, because we're actually going through. We're trying to go through this a little quickly. So the third team for me is the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, I think the Bucks are the best team in the NBA in terms of their record statistically, and they're the best team in the Eastern Conference without a doubt. And they're a team for me. When Giannis, the reigning MVP, is on the court, they're going to have a chance of winning.
Look, Cyrus, I like the fact that they maintained team length. They got all those trees in Milwaukee, give or take an Eric Bledsoe here and there.
Yeah, give or take.
But Chris Middleton is not a short guy.
Yeah.
The Lopez brothers are not short. You know, Giannis himself is not short, but these are all quality players, you know. And Ersan Ilyasova is still in Milwaukee. They've got quite a nice stack there. And I think if they come out of the East on top, whoever faces them in the championship is going to really have a big job on their hands.
Exactly.
But still, Cyrus, what I've seen in the scrimmage games is that Giannis is still Giannising, which worries me. And you and I have had this discussion before, whereby he's still attacking the paint by going down the lane. And if you close that lane, I don't think Giannis has got that much of a reliable mid-range and three-point shot to be that comfortable. So I'm thinking, could he be a victim of last year again? Last season?
It's possible, but I do think there's one thing that I've seen happen, and that's him using his outlets. There was that crazy pass in one of the games, in the scrimmage games, where he actually drove into the lane, looked like he was trying to go and take a contested layup, and then just chucked the ball behind his head for a three-point make from one of the Lopez brothers. So it just goes to show you that he's learning from his mistakes of the past, where he felt like he needed to do it all. He's going to be able to bring his teammates in, and he's got really great teammates. For me, the Bucks need more from the likes of Middleton, Bledsoe, Ilyasova. They've got to come to the party if they want to win a championship. Those guys have got to hit the ground running. Who's your next team to watch?
My next team are the, I know Masai Ujiri said they don't consider themselves the reigning champions. They're chasing this next championship. Last season is done. It's behind them. They don't hold on to the fact that we are the reigning champion. No, they're also chasing that championship, and that's the Toronto Raptors. Cyrus, we remember when they won that championship. It was so fantastic. It was
incredible.
They had Kawhi, the fun guy, was there, and then all of a sudden, it all looked like it was over when Kawhi announced that he was going to go to Los Angeles and join the Clippers, and then also Danny Green felt he could also go get some sunshine, and he joined the Lakers. So you look at the Raptors and say, what are they going to do? Are they just going to wind up bottom of the East? But they were like, no, we've got talent here. We've got Fred VanVleet. We've got Kyle Lowry. We've still got Pascal Siakam. Norman Powell.
Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, they've still got talent there, and I like the way they've kept it together. When a lot of people sort of almost wrote them off and thought, without Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi was a crucial piece. I mean, he was important to that squad, and I think luck was on their side that they faced a very banged up, Golden State Warriors. But let's not dwell too much on that. They won fair and square, right?
You got to beat the team in front of you.
You got to beat the team in front of you, even if they're injured. You just don't take advantage. Don't take that for granted. But they've been impressive, Cyrus. They still remain a solid, unit, and they could go back to back. Cyrus,
they really could. They could
go back to back. You never know. They might just have Giannis's card, and they might pull his whole card.
And then whoever they play in the West, could be another problem for them.
They could just take it back to back, and I think that would be great for the African talent. The OG Anunoby, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, Patrice Mutombo, not forgetting Masai Ujiri.
There's a whole host of
there'll be another African, African celebration there.
I would love to see the Raptors do it.
I'm sure you agree with me. The Raptors are great to watch this season.
Yeah.
And who you got next?
Well, for me, it's gotta be the Denver Nuggets. I love watching the Nuggets play. I think they've got a really good squad, and I also feel as if the Nuggets have got some great up-and-coming talent who they've been flying under the radar. So obviously we know about Jamal Murray, Gary Harris. We've seen those guys, Nikola Jokic, and he's looking in great shape. But there's also Paul Millsap, who's part of that squad. And so when you look at the starting five,
Cyrus, I'm reaching for my sugar ball. Ball. Come on, Cyrus.
I was going there.
Okay. I thought you were going to leave our little brother in the dust.
No, but Ball is not part of the real championship chasing squad as yet. They've started introducing him now.
But he's impressive, Cyrus. For a young boy at that size playing at the 4?
He's playing 5/4, so he's playing power forward and center. But remember, and this is the point I was going to make, is that it's not even just him. There was a certain young player who was in his sophomore season, Michael Porter Jr., who the importance of him and this squad is going to be critical. And if there was anybody who would really needed to have a break and try and get their body in the best shape, it was Michael Porter Jr. Now, when you look at it in the scrimmage games, he's looking good. He could be a real contributor for this team when they try to start climbing up that standings, the conference table. So I
agree
think
with you, Cyrus. No, I agree with you, Cyrus, because last season, remember, we had so much hope for him before the injury set in, and he felt like for the season he was a wasted talent in that, the size, the skill, the athleticism,
everything.
He's got it all. I mean, and then you see a guy like that just get injured. It sort of reminded me of your Ben Simmons times,
exactly. Joel Embiid, the early
Joel Embiid times, when we were like, oh man, this guy just came in, and like for Joel, he didn't even get to play his first 2 seasons. But back to Michael Porter Jr.
Ben Simmons too.
When you put it that way, I'm actually beginning to see a very different Denver Nuggets in my head now that you've mentioned all that young talent around, your Nikola Jokic, who's a bit more seasoned. But to me, Cyrus, to be honest, as much as I'm excited by the Denver Nuggets and what they might offer as well on the veteran side, Paul Millsap needs to perform more. He's beginning to remind me, I'm beginning to question, was Atlanta a better spot for him? Because in Atlanta, Paul Millsap was a force.
Seems unstoppable. But
he's
been good. He's been good in Denver.
We need great. We don't need good.
You don't win championship with just good.
Yeah, you don't win championship with good. And Cyrus, he's been better than he is now. That's what gets to me. Is it age creeping in? I mean, he's not that old.
Oh, look, he's in his early 30s. But the problem here is you have to make the team work. When he was at Atlanta, they played a different system. And so, you saw a lot more of the ball in the positions that he liked. In Denver, he has to do a little bit more, stretch the floor a little bit. So he's still a good player. I think the issue with them, though, is that they run a heck of a lot of their offense through Jamal Murray. And so when he's not on fire, things don't necessarily work. And not just Jamal Murray, obviously Nikola Jokic. But I think that's what makes the Nuggets so exciting. We've got to move right along, though. I think the Nuggets are one to watch. Who do you have next?
Well, I'm going to go in the way of small ball. These guys excite me, but they also worry me. You see that the Houston Rockets. I've always had a soft spot for the Houston Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon played there.
Oh man,
Yao Ming
Clyde Drexler was with him. Yeah,
Clyde the Glide played there, and also one of my favorites, T-Mac, played there.
Tracy McGrady.
Tracy McGrady, yeah. I mean, once upon a time, even Kyle Lowry played there. The chubbier version of Kyle Lowry. But, and then came Clint Capella, Luke Mbamute. So I've always felt that African connection to Houston, And I think even Dikembe Mutombo had a spell there. But their current squad, if you look at it, it's a little bit too short for my liking. I mean, I love one James Harden, the beard, and I think, Cyrus, for the season, you should get your beard a little longer.
Try and grow it out.
To represent.
I trimmed
James Harden.
Man.
And another MVP, Russell Westbrook, is there. I mean, they've got Eric Gordon, and they've got such talent there. Austin Rivers is there.
Yep.
And when you look at it, why would you choose to get rid of a Clint Capella and then get like small ball? I mean, they're not the Golden State Warriors. He doesn't rain threes in Houston. I mean, James Harden's got the best step back right now in the league, and he's possibly one of the players that makes the most trips to the charity stripe. But still, Russell Westbrook is a power dunker and a bit of a stat padder there sometimes. But what do you do? What do you do without a formidable five?
Yeah,
and I know
you need a center.
It's positionless basketball. Yes, we appreciate that, but really, the lack of height. If the Houston Rockets were to play the Milwaukee Bucks, that would be a very strange-looking game.
It makes it easier for certain teams who have dominant centers to go into games and say, okay, fine, we will just chuck the ball to our big guy and he will make mincemeat of you. And I think this is also why we're saying the Houston Rockets are a team to watch, not necessarily one of the contenders. Because as good as James Harden is, his shooting, his scoring, all of that stuff, he's been incredible. You need to have more in your team. And I think this is one of the things about the Rockets, where they just seem to have gone down a path that might just lead them to disaster, especially since perhaps they were trying to balance things in terms of salaries and what have you. I'm just not 100% sure what they were doing, because to go so deep into small ball where you've just got like Tyson Chandler, veteran Tyson Chandler as your only major option, is it's a hard sell. So yeah, I like the Rockets. I like them too. I like to see them. I like James Harden, as you can see, Team Beard. But I just don't know if they're going to be making any waves. And that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah.
So,
might need to put in a call to Mike D'Antoni and tell us what is
Mike D'Antoni. Well, it's him, Daryl Morey. They've got a lot of explaining to do. But going to another team that needs to explain a lot, the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm so looking forward to watching them, though. As much as they can be frustrating, Joel Embiid, I absolutely love that guy. And I think that what they're trying to do there, Coach Brown is trying to do something where they came out with a statement saying that they're going to try and play Ben Simmons more as a power forward, to try and get him to play more of the dunk game and closer to the basket. So they're going to move the ball out of his hands as the primary ball handler and play Shake Milton. And that is interesting. It also is a damning indictment on Al Horford, who they've brought in to be their main power forward, because clearly it's just not been working for him in Philly. But when you look at the young talent that they have there, I just love what they've got. That rookie, Matisse Thybulle, he is just incredible. Really like the look of him.
You see, what worries me about the 76ers is what worries me about another Eastern Conference team that I like, but is also worrying me, that I'll mention a little bit later, is we know Joel Embiid, we know Ben Simmons, we know Al Horford, you know, we know Tobias Harris. You know, we know the starters, but who is on their bench?
Yeah.
Besides the rookie you just mentioned. That is what worries me about the 76ers. I mean, I know one Jimmy Buckets didn't work out there, and you know, but they've lost so many pieces that they had last season that you start worrying and say, are they indirectly rebuilding, or are they really interested in chasing a title?
And that's the tough thing here, because benches help you win a championship. You know, you can't do that. Like, your guys cannot play all the way through. They've added the likes of Josh Richardson. They've added the likes of Mike Scott. But those aren't seasoned vets to the point where you know what you're going to get from them continually. When the pressure's on, isn't Alec Burks really going to be that guy? We saw at the Warriors, he wasn't really that guy.
He wasn't that guy.
You know, it's tough, and I think that's what's going to cost them. But I like the way they play, and I like Philly. I love Joel Embiid, so I'm keen to see what they're going to bring.
Cyrus, I think it's just because you and Joel are friends.
Yeah,
but I'll give you that. You know, you and him at Basketball Without Borders, chatty.
Look, it was called an interview, Kaunda, but that's fine.
Nobody loves that mess in an interview. You guys were buddies. Anyway,
thanks. I'll take it.
Back to the West. I think Utah Jazz, for me. The Jazz are good. I mean, look, I'm not saying they're gonna chase a title, but they're gonna be exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Nice to see that Rudy Gobert is back to health. You know, because I hate to say this, but he was patient zero when things went a little south.
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell, I've always got time to watch Donovan Mitchell. He's such an exciting young
He really is. I'm a big fan. Joe Ingles, jingling Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles.
Mike Conley. They've got a good squad.
But I think Mike Conley also, he gives me that feeling that Paul Millsap is giving me. I've seen him play better. In Memphis. I've seen a better Mike Conley in Memphis, and I think he needs to bring back the old. Maybe he needs to get rid of those dreadlocks, because the old Mike Conley had a fade and he was unstoppable most times.
Oh man, you're such an old man.
No, he used to play with Zach Randolph, and that was a gritty squad.
Yeah,
you know, when your likes of Mark Gasol was still there, and those guys were about the grit and the grime, and they get dirty with it, and not dirty as in dirty play, but
But
just
get
go out
into
there and
hard
grind it out.
work.
And that's the Mike Conley I'm expecting to see in Utah, and I hope that Mike Conley comes out. If maybe not this season, maybe next season. But he's not getting any younger either.
And that's been the problem. But when you actually look at it, some of these older guys who've gone to new teams, Al Horford, you mentioned Paul Millsap, is not quite a new team. Mike Conley, the adjustment process is tough. So Conley had been in a system that was built around him. Now he's in a system that he has to adjust to. So it will take some time, but I like the Jazz. I want to see what they can do. And what's great is there won't be the pressure of the crowd for any of these players in the bubble. That they can just go out there and try and express themselves. If they miss a shot, they just shrug it off and carry on. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing. And the Jazz could be one of those teams that really just gets some good wins here and there. I mean, they're the 4th seed in the West currently. So we've got 2 more to go through.
Before we go into those 2, I was asked a very interesting question this week, and it had to do with the crowd. How do you see the crowd affecting these games? I mean, let's just touch that quickly. Because to me, a lot of those players used to feed off the crowd. You know, LeBron James feeds off that crowd action. Not so much Kawhi Leonard, because he's always in his own world. Patrick Beverly feeds off that crowd. Spider Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell,
the energy
that
comes
crowd,
from it,
that energy that comes from the cheers and the screams. It just like gives you that extra burst.
Just remember,
of adrenaline.
Before there was a crowd, when you were still playing and practicing and doing your thing, you had to be able to perform. So I think the players just go back into that and say, okay, fine. I'm here to play basketball. I want to entertain, but it's going to be for those on TV. I'm not going to hear the hooping and the hollering in the stands. And so you just got to carry on with it. It's happened in other sports where it sort of feels a little weird and a bit like preseason. But then you just pull up your socks and you get back to work. It's as simple as that.
So you don't see any effect? effect?
I don't think there's going to be a problem. I think the guys are really going to. This is a group of people who are all eager to win. And winners will play regardless. We play in Randburg. There's no crowd there, but you're still going to put in the hard work. Okay, so
there's never a crowd.
I'm going to go into 2 teams because we're running out of time here. But my last 2 teams in my top 10, and I'm not sure if you agree with me on these, would be Boston Celtics. Going to be an interesting one to watch.
Absolutely, a lot of young talent there.
And
I think. Who's your last one?
I'm gonna probably say, I thought about the Miami Heat, but I'm gonna say the Dallas Mavericks because Luka Doncic.
The Dallas Mavericks. That is a great pick, Cyrus. I was gonna go with Portland, but I'm gonna go with you with the Dallas Mavericks.
Portland though. Portland.
I overlooked them. I overlooked the Dallas Mavericks though because Cyrus, you got Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Who's a great ball handler. Then you got the long man they got from New York, wasn't it?
Kristaps Porzingis.
So you got that European connection
that 1-2.
right there.
And then Seth Curry.
You got Seth Curry who killed the Lakers in that first meet of the scrimmage games. That shot of his was falling like he dropped it. It was fantastic. I think your selection of the Mavs, I might have to go with you, but still, Portland. They resurrected Melo.
Portland. Yeah.
They resurrected Melo.
Brought him back from the dead.
From the dead, seriously, Cyrus. And CJ McCollum looking hella nice. Let's not forget Yusuf Nurkic in the paint.
That's the big thing, that having Nurkic back fit. You've got CJ and Damian Lillard. Then you've got Carmelo Anthony as an option on there. I mean, their starting 5 is ludicrous if you think about it, right? That you've got your great point guard, great shooting guard, great small forward. The only problem really is that they don't necessarily have a power forward to speak of.
No.
But
because their power forward was a bit injured and they let him go to the Boston Celtics. So
that's true. But the thing is that they've got Zach Collins, who's been playing sort of power forward for them, and center, who can actually shoot the 3. And then they're just rotating in a couple of guys like Wenyan Gabriel, the Sudanese guy. He's been fantastic. But I just think though, there'd been something missing in them, and Nurkic was that thing. And now that he's back, this could change everything.
But imagine had they had Nurkic and Enes Kanter.
Yeah, look,
See,
you
that would
can't
been a
have it all.
problem.
You can't
Because
have it all.
Ennis is a problem in the paint, and he will get you second chance buckets. He will rebound offensively.
As
and
the
defensively.
Celtics
But
have
that's
said.
water under the bridge. You know what I'm saying? He's gone. They need to make a plan. But look, I was gonna put the Blazers. You put the Mavs. I think both fantastic squads.
Yeah, and then I think we
there's
both
a-
agree on the Celtics.
And the Celtics,
as a team to watch.
they'll show up. But let's keep it real. We love the green and white, but they won't.
They've seen better days. It will be interesting to see because going through some of their squad stuff, Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, they're fantastic players, but they don't have enough at the center. Enes Kanter is great, but they don't have enough because when he goes off and you've got Daniel Tice there, yikes. it becomes really tough. But
Do you think they need to get Aaron Baines back?
Baines is the guy that they need. But look, we're going to have to leave it there. Kaunda, it's been real.
It's been more than real, Cyrus. And as we count down to the 31st, I am so excited. You have no idea.
Yeah.
That's why I'm screaming into the mic. But
you can't help yourself.
Who do you think could take it, though? Just before we close this off.
I still think it's going to be the Clippers.
You still think it's going to be the Clippers?
Though looking at the Lakers and their bench, it's going to be tough. I must say, and I'm going to touch wood and everything else, I hope injury doesn't strike. There's a lot of games coming very quickly. And if something were to happen to a major star at any one of these teams, we could see an outsider take the title. Somebody like the Milwaukee Bucks could potentially come in and win it. So who knows? But I think the Clippers. That's my choice. And you?
It's Go James and the Lakers. You know it. But look, Cyrus, at the end of the day, especially what we've been through with losing so much of the season, whoever wins, basketball wins, Cyrus. And we win. As the fans, as the analysts, we win at the end of the day. But preferably, I'm praying for a Laker win.
Okay. Well, we got your opinion. You got mine. Thank you all for watching. That's been the Post Up Show. We will see you again next week. Enjoy the games as they start this weekend.